Diary for Sociopathic Mother-in-Law Next Door entry. Today's date is Tuesday, the 1st of July 2025. We ended the last entry with the story of finishing the story of confronting the Husk and St George. Lies about the telephone call, having us on loudspeaker, and him just being there. Why the hell is he there anyway? It's a private business. And so I took the opportunity to tell him, yeah, why are you here so much? And how much I miss stepdad and seeing him, and now I don't see him, I just see you. And his total lack of awareness of any of this. A lack of any awareness that their behaviours could actually be affecting in a negative way our feelings. And who does he think he is? Just helping himself, just almost living there. So that conversation ended. You get nowhere, you feel like you're getting nowhere. There's no emotion from the guy. You can get angry with him. You can pour your heart out in terms of your feelings, the fact that you're grieving. Those are the two extremes, anger and, tears, I suppose. Not actual tears, but, sadness. Anger and sadness. Both of those two emotions expressed by me. Zero emotion expressed in empathy from him. If I'm getting angry, he should be having some sort of reaction, either to defend himself or to own up and say, look, I can see you're angry, I'm really sorry. Or defend himself. Who do you think you're talking to? Neither of those two responses. And then with the sadness, either, hey, look, I can see how this is really, really hard for you. I'm really sorry that it's my behaviours that have done this. I mean, that is the only way to deal with that side of it. But no, nothing in return. Dead. Another husk that thinks he's there because he's a chauvinist. He thinks he's there to look after the husk. Because he's that old-fashioned mindset. He thinks he's the rescuer. That's his role. He sees a damsel in distress. And it's only his money which is allowing him to play that role. If he had nought, the husk would never be with him. So let that confrontation ended, and I think that might have been a Thursday, if I remember rightly. Thursday morning. So on the Friday, round about lunchtime, or maybe mid-afternoon, the Friday, I got a text of the husk saying, would you and the Beacon like to come round tonight for a chat? A chat? Ooh. No, never had this type of invite before, where she actually wants to talk about stuff, real stuff. It's her instigating it. That's strange. That's never happened before. And another thing to note is, she never said whether St George is going to be there. Does that include St George? Are you going to do the right thing and have a conversation just with us two, your family, and keep it private, keep him out the way it should be? I doubt it. obviously, I knew straight away what was going on here. He's instigated this. It's not her. It's not typical of her. In fact, it's absolutely never, ever, ever happened. She ignores, buries her head, just gets on with it. And that's where all the frustrations come from, because you never get to thrash stuff out. You never solve any problems, because she just likes to bury her head and ignore. If you try and talk about it, she gets defensive, because she's a child, teenager's brain, and you get nowhere. You end up having to be really cruel to her, or what feels like being cruel, to get her to see or own up, take responsibility. You have to really hammer it home. And most people, especially with their close family members, most people do not have the ability and the resilience to do that, because it's hard work. And to be quite frank, the beacon knows it's futile, so she doesn't do it either. And that's why the beacon and the husk's relationship, it was just destiny, fate. It was always going to disintegrate, because the beacon realises that it's futile, and it is. And the husk is never, ever, ever going to change. And that the unresolved issues just fester and manifest into the destruction of any meaningful relationship. It's just now a functioning relationship. What do I have to do to survive any interactions with my mother? That's what the beacon, that's what her mindset is. And this text invite clearly has been instigated by St. George. I've had a go at him, and he's got no emotions. He couldn't care less about me, because when I poured me heart out, that's not what I did, but I'm just going to use that phrase. When I wore me heart on my sleeve, he had nothing to say. Nothing. Just, meekness. Oh, I didn't realise it meant that much to you. Now, he, if you recall, because he's a chauvinist, he's got this, what he thinks is respect for the beacon, partly because he worked with her, so he knows her. Well, he thinks he knows her. He doesn't know her, obviously. Partly because he worked for her, but also because this is these meek, empathyless, emotionless baby boomer men. They were brought up where they were conditioned by society to think that men didn't have feelings. You don't talk about emotions and feelings. Only women, those are for women, those are reserved exclusively for women. So he's just a chauvinist. He doesn't think he needs to acknowledge my feelings and my emotions, but in his conditioning, he can't cope with the idea that he's upset a woman. He can't cope with that idea, and he needs to put that right. Not because he cares about the beacon, but for his own guilt and shame. He doesn't want to go out in this village, small village, people talk. He doesn't want to. It's a survival mechanism as well, self-preservation. He wants to preserve his perfect reputation. He doesn't want a respected woman who people might believe because he thinks everybody's a chauvinist like him, and that when women talk about their feelings and their hurt, people will believe them more than they would if a man did that. He's just in protection. Instinct. Get this fixed. I'm not happy that I may have upset the beacon. I need to protect my reputation. I can't be seen as somebody who hurts women. I'm perfect. Chauvinist. Believe me, you cannot hurt her. She's tougher than you, old man. So this is his self-protection kicking in. And that's where that text come from him, via her. So, and why is she sending it to me? Why is she sending it to me? She knows I've told the beacon. Or she should know. Of course she knows that I've told the beacon. Tell her everything. What she should be doing is making things right with her daughter. I'll follow. Whatever happens with your daughter leads the way. If you fix that properly, then that'll put us somewhere near the right track. Why are you texting me? So I responded to her. I think you're texting the wrong person. That was it. So knowing that you would have texted the beacon, beacon came in from work a couple of hours later. It's about, let's say, 5:30, 6 o'clock, Friday night, hard week at work. I said to her, I think you'll have a text on your phone. Yeah, I can see it. I haven't opened it, but I can see that it's there. I said, right, can you look at it? Because I need to make a decision. Now, firstly, she read the text. She had copied and pasted the text to the beacon. So the text to me said, would you and the beacon like to come over? So she copied and pasted that text to the beacon. So the text read to the beacon, you know, would you and yourself like to come over? Like she hasn't even got the awareness and the intelligence and the common sense to just type it out again, or to even just change the word. But and again, there's nothing in there. There's no sales pitch. You know, you're not selling the idea. You're not acknowledging that. You know, the assumption is that you recognise your wrongdoing and you'd like to make amends and apologise. There's none of that. There's none laying of any foundations. What about the weather? Like, she's so cold because she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to give us any satisfaction. She doesn't want us to come over. If truth be told, it's his idea. She loves division, because division just gives her power. Divide and conquer. It's nothing new. Division in the family, and then as long as you feel like you've got the majority, then you feel powerful. Doesn't in control. You're the centre of attention for your control group. Just because a couple of people disagree and whatever, it doesn't matter, because everybody else agrees with you, so you must be right. You don't want, like, cohesion and harmony where everybody's equal and everybody has a say, and you've actually got to behave yourself and respect other people's boundaries and feelings. She doesn't want that. She wants division. She's more than happy for St. George to, be caught up in that, be like a victim along with her, so she can, the pair of them can wallow in their victim mentality. She doesn't want it fixed. She doesn't want St. George to have a respectful relationship with the Beacon because she wants them all to herself. She wants to be the best in his eyes. Now, she knows that she can't achieve that by being the best person she can be and being a good, moral, loving person. She knows she can't achieve being the best in his eyes through those values because she hasn't got any of those values and qualities. The only way she can be the best in his eyes is if she destroys the competition, because that's what she sees the Beacon as, competition. She's everything. The Beacon is everything that the Husk is not. So she doesn't want this fixed. Her behaviours never change, and she never takes responsibility. And the proof is in the pudding. Actions speak louder than words. By your fruits we shall know you. Her behaviours do not tell the story of somebody who can do the right thing, see the error of their ways, change, and actually want to mend and repair problems. So she doesn't. So all I'm doing is reading her behaviours, not her words, her behaviours. So this text, she can't even change. There's no selling pitch, no sales pitch. You would have thought, look, Beacon, in the text, I understand there was a bit of confrontation yesterday, and I'm sure the bad man has told you, please would you like to come over and talk about it so we can mend things. That is a much more tempting prospect than would you and yourself like to come over for a chat? Like, she can't even get her name right. The name's right. So the Beacon was, I really don't want it. It's Friday night. It's not what I want to do on Friday night. Long, hard week at work. And I said, I appreciate that. And I know this is going to be just total nonsense, but we'll just go over there. We'll give them an hour. Say what you need to say. Don't give them any emotion back. And at least then we'll know where the land lies. Otherwise, we're just going to mull this over for the whole weekend. Is it worth sacrificing 1 hour on Friday just to have peace of mind, some sort of peace of mind for the weekend? And obviously I've been through the confrontation. She hasn't. So it's like, I want this more than she does, because I need to know what they've got to say in response to what I said. So you can imagine why, like, I'm more up for it than her. All of this pathetic stuff, which is what it is at the end of the day, it's all pathetic. Because all of this pathetic stuff just happens when the Beacon's at work. It's like she can't go to work without leaving the kids at home to get on. And I totally get that. And I absolutely get that. And as I've said to her, there's no way I'm not going to challenge wrong behaviour. No way. Especially not when it's on my home, in my home, on my property, block my privacy. What we've trusted her to do the right thing, and there's no way I'm not going to challenge bad behaviour. You would do that with your husband or wife, wouldn't you? You would challenge that bad behaviour. you would do that with your son or daughter. You would do it with a flatmate. Otherwise, you just become a doormat. And that's all I'm doing. But I get her point of view. It's like she can't go to work without coming back to this rubbish. So, eventually I convinced her that it was worth doing. So we went over. Let's just say it was 6:30, 6:45. And sure enough, he's there, St. George. Why is he there? Well, obviously because it's him that wants to speak. It's him that wants to say something to the beacon. It's not her. So, to cut a long story short, or trying to, for 2 hours solid, small talk, beating around the bush. Look, when, like, you know, having a couple of drinks and just small talk. It's like, what? You've obviously invited us over here, St. George, to get something off your chest. Get it off your chest. We haven't got, this is Friday night. We're not retired like you. Used to. I haven't got time to burn. I've got more important things I want to do on a Friday night. Get to it. You can't. And I can't. Obviously the beacon isn't as assertive as me. She's assertive when she needs to be. And she's patient when she wants to be. Well, I'm just like a bit of a bull in a china shop. You got something to say? Well, you just say it. You don't need to lay the foundations and prepare the ground. Because I'm an adult, I can take whatever it is you've got to say. I'm not a child, but this is the child mentality. 2 hours solid of small talk, talking about nonsense, because he needs to wait until it's safe. He wants to gauge the atmosphere, wait until it's ultra safe, and he wants to wait for the perfect opportunity. There is never the perfect opportunity. How long are we going to sit here talking about crap? And it's because he's a coward. He hasn't got the courage to just say what he needs to say. Because he's scared about the reaction. So he's waiting to see how our moods are. If there was hostility, like a sign of hostility, either through body language, not that he'd pick that up, or just our attitudes, he probably would have, I don't know what he would have done. I really don't know. I'll have to think about that one. But anyway, because we're being amicable, this is just going on forever, because he doesn't know how to broach it. He doesn't know how to bring up the subject of the beacon's dead dad and the fact that he's sleeping in his bed. He doesn't know how to bring that up. 2 hours solid. We were being amicable. We were being patient. I was taking a leaf out of the beacon's book. Because ultimately you want this fixed. It seems naive in hindsight, but in the moment, you want it fixed. Don't want to live like this. My own home. So, you're being patient. Eventually, he brings it up. But the only reason he brought it up, this is hilarious, is because the beacon, I think the beacon must have known this is going nowhere. And I'm going to bring up my stepdad or my dad. So she brought her stepdad, effectively her dad. She brought her dad into the conversation. I think she knew, even if it was subconscious. This is going nowhere. I want to bring his name into the conversation. If he doesn't get the hint, if that doesn't give him the safety of he's already been brought into the conversation, stepdad, if this doesn't give him the safety, feeling of safety to be able to then broach his own subject, whatever it is he wants to talk about, which is clearly in relation to stepdad. If this doesn't give him the safety to be able to do that, we're never going to get out of here. I think that's what the Beacon was thinking. Took the opportunity to bring stepdad into the conversation, and so St George, the coward, on that subject, I didn't realise how much he meant to you. I didn't realise, me being here and to be honest, these are his words, I never even give it a thought. That's his excuse. That's what he's hanging his hat on, because it's the truth. That's what he's going to tell the Beacon. That's his repair job. I never even give it a thought. So, I think I've said this previously. So you've just told the Beacon, this woman that you allegedly respect, that for 8 months you've completely trampled all over her feelings, all over the boundaries, her boundaries, by basically slivering yourself into that bed that he died in, that she cared for him in, the Beacon, and in 8 months you're just telling it to her face, I didn't give you a thought, a consideration, not once. That's it. That's their repair job. And his excuse is of why they never give us a thought was, I think, are you ready for it? I think we were, him and the husk, I think we were just caught up in the whirlwind of it all. The whirlwind. You're coffin dodgers. You're nearly 74-year-old. You're retired. You do nothing with your days. You sit round my home, my lodge, the pair of you with your feet up, enjoying the fruits of my labour. You do nothing. Yeah, you go on a couple of holidays for a couple of weeks of the year and the odd long weekend. I'm talking about the vast majority of your time together. You sit and do nothing. What whirlwind? This is teenager talk. This is what happens to teenagers when they think they've fallen in love, and every waking hour they want to spend with their partner. And yeah, that is a whirlwind, and you want to put everything second, and you just want to spend time with that person, you want to do things, you want to, whatever. That's not, they've got a teenager's brain, undeveloped, unmatured, but that's not a whirlwind. They're meant to be mature adults. Sitting round doing nothing every day is not a whirlwind. So it's pathetic. A whirlwind would also be, let's just say, when you're young and you get your first job and life's busy, you've got a job and all the other stuff, and then you want to cram as much time in as possible with this other person. Other stuff gets left by the wayside. But it doesn't stop you having awareness. That's nonsense. But, you know, it's when you've got lots of things in your life and then, you know, you fall in love and lots of that stuff becomes secondary. They've got nothing in their life. And this is not love anyway. So, that's his excuse. That's what he's sticking with. Confirming our suspicions. Somebody with empathy and awareness would understand that that is not the right answer to give. The right answer to give is, on the subject of your stepdad, Beacon, I would just like to deeply apologise for my total lack of awareness and not respecting your feelings. I'm genuinely sorry from the bottom of my heart. I should have known how much stepdad meant to you. Yeah, you should have known because the husk should have told you, but you didn't. She just let you fall into these traps because she doesn't care. She doesn't care about you. But yeah, I'm deeply sorry. I apologise. And most importantly, you have to use the word sorry as well. I'm sorry. And most importantly, I'll not do it again. I said that a bit loud. Echoed down the woods. Yeah, you've got to make a promise not to do it again. 70 years on this planet, and they don't understand how to apologise because they don't know what an apology is. They don't know any of this because they've never been challenged on their wrong behaviour, and he's so meek and agreeable that he just goes through life. He just wants people to tell him what to do and tell him how to think, and he just agrees with everybody, and it's all just a survival mechanism. So he never has to have a confrontation, he never makes mistakes, he never has to apologise. Because life is just, you know, life is just an illusion to him. You know, you go through life and you never make mistakes and you're perfect. That's his illusion. And how do you do that? Because you've obviously never made mistakes as a child. You've never been allowed to make mistakes as a child. You've been completely mollycoddled and not allowed a voice by your parents. And this is how it manifests. You're scared of making mistakes because you've never been allowed to make mistakes when you were a child. Because that's how you learn. And now, and your survival mechanism is just agree with everybody and then you can't make any mistakes. Just whatever people say, even if they're wrong, just agree with it. Just if somebody tells you how to act, just act like that to keep them happy. And then you go through life safe. I need safety. I need safety. The world is a dangerous place. And he's never been challenged. So he doesn't know how to apologise. Proper, real, you know, mistakes. I don't mean bumping into somebody in the pub. Oh, sorry. I don't mean that. I mean when you've caused real harm, emotional harm, and you really have upset somebody. Not upset as in crying, I mean peed somebody off. You've never had to do that before. And that's why you don't know how to do it, because you've had no practice. So this pathetic apology, if that's what you can call it, went on for about, I don't know, say half an hour. And in the end it was like, oh, and by the way, the husk said absolutely nothing for the whole time of his attempted apology. Nothing. She didn't back him up. She didn't help him out with his words. She didn't contribute to expand or to contextualise, give her side of it. And most importantly, she didn't speak up and take her share of the blame or the responsibility. She sat there absolutely silent, because remember, she doesn't think she's done anything wrong. She doesn't want us there. It's not her idea. It's his idea. She doesn't want it fixed. She loves division. That's why she's just sitting there silent. She doesn't care if he makes a mess of it. Most importantly, like I say, she didn't apologise. She should have more share of responsibility than him, because she knows how much stepdad means to us, particularly the Beacon. She knows that, and she should be protecting our feelings, you know. She's in control of when he comes over and how long he stays there and all the rest of it. We trust her, or we trusted her, you know, to make the right decision when it comes to stuff like that. Don't take the mick. But she couldn't do that. So she's got more responsibility. She should have also told him. She should have told him how much stepdad meant. And then at least, if he was a normal functioning human being, at least he'd then be able to make an informed decision about whether or not he should be spending so much time here. But no, she can't do that either. So if he had any awareness about him, he would say to himself, this woman is getting me into hot water. Why did you not? What, Husk? You know, in private you should be saying, Husk, why the hell did you not warn us? That's how normal functioning humans would operate. She's let him walk into the lion's den, so to speak, but he'll never get it. So the Husk said nothing, no help whatsoever. There was two things the Husk said. Firstly was, but it was only in response to something the Beacon said. The Beacon brought up the fact that the Husk completely, like everything turned to chaos when she was away on that work trip. You know, when the Husk asked our daughter to let the dog out, and it ended up in us having, that's what led to the whole confrontation. That's what led us to this point, was her ignoring the Beacon's instructions or wishes. Don't ask our daughter to let the dog out. Ask the bad man, and she completely ignored that. So the Beacon brought this up, said this all started when everything just went to pot when I went away, and that was the only ownership the Husk took was, yeah, and that's my fault, and I apologise. She never uses the word sorry. She always says, I apologise. What does that mean? I mean, I know what it means. Apologise means to take something back. But you can't take it back, can you? You can't take the behaviours back. What you should be saying is, I'm sorry I did that. I'll make sure I never do that again. But anyway. But it was only because the Beacon said this to us later. It was only because the Beacon brought this up. How when she went away, everything turned to chaos. If the Beacon hadn't said that, the Husk wouldn't have given that apology. Oh yeah, that's my fault. I apologise. It was a response. It was like you have to ask her for an apology. Up until then, nothing. Like I say, no apology for her part in all of this. Just the St George's pathetic attempts. And the only other thing she said was, so this is what put a nail in the coffin, really. So we're there amicably, we're listening to what they've got to say, we're just nodding our head and listening and trying to be amicable the Beacon's explaining to St George that she just wants her mum to be happy, but you know, it's not at the expense of our feelings. You know, she does want her mum to be happy. She hasn't got a problem with her having, you know, whatever you are, lover boy. She hasn't got a problem with that. It's the fact that it's in the home that we built for her dad. Do you get it yet, St George? Do you get it? You've got your own home. Just spend the time there. Just spend the time there. Just have more respect. And just don't be here as much. It's our home. We don't want to see you here. And it's just going to deteriorate our relationship with you. So, but you know, but she said, I just want my mum to be happy. But you know, it's not at the expense of us taking. I'm sure if anybody's even listening to this, I'm sure you get what I'm saying. Of course, we want her to be happy, but you know, we're not at the expense of our own feelings. Not when you can be happy. Just spend more time at his. I don't understand what the problem is. So, the Beacon obviously said that we're trying to show understanding and compassion and, you know, be amicable and all the rest of it. And then I'm in the middle of saying something and I was just trying to expand on something. This is all going, you know, we're not impressed with his excuse, but we're just trying to put our part across as well. We're trying to use it as an opportunity to get our voices heard. And I'm trying to explain something from my point of view, which was like trying to help the situation. And the husk leaned over to us. I'm sitting on a stool at a breakfast bar. She leaned over to us and she said, she completely interrupted us. And she said, you know what hurt me the most? I went, yeah. Because she's already said this. She said this to us, you know, the day before during the confrontation, like 36 hours later, earlier, however long it was, 30 hours earlier. Yeah, I know which bit really hurt you. But she had to say it again. It was when you called us a effing bitch. She had to say it again. So it was an attack. You've already said that to us, and we've already had that bit out. But now you have to bring that up when we're actually trying to mend things. And you've just completely interrupted us. So she was desperate to say it. And that said to me that, you know, she was confident that I had bought a story, the lies about the telephone call and the fact that St George wasn't listening. She's confident that I bought that story because I said to her again, I stand by what I said. If you were doing that, that I stand by that response. I'm trying to get across to her that, look, I have not bought that story, hook, line and sinker. So don't try and make us feel guilty about what I said. And that, it was just like, I just felt, I just deflated at a point of why are we here? This is what I'm saying to myself, why are we here? We're here to try and listen to them. They're supposed to be making the apology. And we're being, you know, again, being amicable. And then she just goes on the attack. And I couldn't remember if I had told the Beacon that bit. But anyway, when we got home, so soon after she said that, I was like, I finished that drink and said, Howard, let's go. Because I really, really, really was not happy with that. Wasting me Friday night, listening to their nonsense, beating around the bush like cowards. She sits there, says nothing, makes no apology. His apology is absolutely pathetic. And then she just attacks us again. It's like, what do you want here? That bit has already been dealt with. I didn't bring up anything. I did not bring up anything about that confrontation, about her behaviours, about, you know, blah, 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 blah. We went there to listen to his apology in relation to how he's completely disrespected the Beacon. That's what we were there for. It made us feel like you've just done that to try and make us feel guilty. But anyway, I thought to myself, we're out of here. And then we just made our excuses and left. Got home, and the Beacon's opinion was that, because she picked up on how inappropriate that was as well, and the Beacon's opinion is that she did that because she doesn't believe that I've told the Beacon that I called her an effing bitch, and she's trying to get us into trouble. She's trying to cause division. She's trying to shock the Beacon, and so she'll be angry and mad with me, and to cause friction between me and the Beacon, because that's the Beacon has said this a number of times. She loves attempting to cause division between me and you, because she's envious of her. Remember, she wants to destroy. She'd happily see mine and the Beacon's relationship be destroyed, which is obviously never going to happen. Never going to happen. 33 years. This makes us stronger, man. Husk, you've got no idea. It weakens your relationship, makes ours stronger. So that's the Beacon's opinion, was that she did that attack because she didn't believe that I had told her that I called her an effing bitch. And she wanted to cause friction. And she wanted to, but she wants to weaken the Beacon, because she thinks that if the Beacon doesn't know that, it's going to shock her and it's going to make her angry, and then she'll not be able to back me, back up our position. She'll go, it's just trying to weaken. I think again, if anyone's listening to this, I think you get that, don't you? By causing that, it weakens the Beacon's strength in our arguments and stuff like that. You didn't know your husband did that, do you? You see, he's not perfect. Yeah, it's just pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. So that didn't go too well. But they, yeah, it's difficult to deal with, whether this was the right thing to do or not. We just want it out of there, and we just want everything just be manageable. It's not going to get better. But, we were pretty sure that they were just left with the impression that, yay, everything's great again, because that's it, that's it. You just click your fingers and everything's great again. No, you have to change your behaviour. So we'll see what happens after this. That's what we thought.